What's up everybody, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the recent Poketopia trailer that came out earlier today, and I have so many thoughts, you're about to hear all of it, and the trailer did leave me with more questions than answers, so let's dive into it. First thing I want to mention is I am very excited for the game, like, so excited, and I know this might be a little bit dramatic to say, but so far, currently, it is my most anticipated game of 2026. Out of all the games that we know of 2026, this one's my favorite, and I know that might kind of sound weird, because, you know, it's such a small, niche game. I am just so excited. Like, I love Pokemon. I've always wanted to try Animal Crossing, so now I get to try, an Animal Crossing experience, but in the Pokemon way that I love. Amazing. Next thing I want to mention is the game looks so much bigger than I thought it ever would be. Like, this trailer has shown us some massive aerial views of the world, and it is just so massive, and I wasn't really expecting that. At first, I thought the first time I saw the first trailer, I thought the game was going to be free. And then I realized, oh, you know, it's going to be just a cheaper Pokemon game, but it will be a lot more high quality than I thought. But now, I know the game's going to be $70, which first off, that is too expensive, but, you know, that does mean it's going to be a bigger game than I ever originally thought. This game's going to be massive. And a Pokemon game like this, I have actually been wanting to get into a cozy game recently, but I don't really know which one. I have so many other games on my plate, but this is just a Pokemon version of that. I know I keep saying this is just a Pokemon version of, like, this style of game, but it really is, and that's amazing and fun and wonderful, and the game is just so much more massive than I thought it ever could be. Here's just a little thing that I want to mention, and it's about this Tangrowth. What's his deal? And he kind of adds a lot more questions about the game. Because, like, really, just what is his deal? He's a little bit strange, and there's this interpreter who voices him in this trailer, but is that a trailer thing, or is it actually going to be in the game itself? I don't know, I do wonder, but I really don't know what his deal is, but I am assuming, and I think this is a pretty good guess, is he's going to be like a professor type of character. Like an older character who sets you on your journey, and you kind of always go back to him for one major part of the game, and he's going to be with you the whole time, or at least you'll always go back to him, and he's just going to be like someone who gives you an item, or a ton of different kinds of items that will gradually help you in your game, like your classic professor character in a video game. That's like the vibe I'm getting from him, but he does have a TM on top of his head, so maybe I am right, and the main item he gives you are TMs, and you can use those TMs to copy other Pokemon's moves. Now, everything I just said is all speculation, but it seems very reasonable and very exciting if this is true, because if that was true, it would be so much fun to, you know, always go to him, see what new TMs you can buy to shape your world in different ways. And in the trailer, it talks about how this world you're in used to be a town that got abandoned, and the Tangrowth wants you to rebuild it. I do wonder what this means, because it's very interesting, but maybe a little bit concerning, because maybe this means it won't be the gameplay experience that most people are looking for, but it does seem very interesting that it's going to be this town that you have to rebuild, and all these houses you have to build, and I don't know, that whole thing is just a little bit nerve-wracking, but mainly only because I don't really understand it yet. Once I have more of an understanding of what this town thing means for the game, I think I'll have a more clear opinion, but so far I'm a little bit at unease with this town situation. Okay, I have to mention habitats, and it's another thing that I'm a little bit uneasy about, but in the same way as the Old Town story thing. So, I think it's a little bit interesting, these habitats, but I'm worried they're going to be a little bit too hard to micromanage. I would personally be playing this game for a cozy experience, and I don't want to have to be, you know, struggling to micromanage a ton of things. Because these habitats, the game acts like you have to build these very specific areas to, you know, get new Pokemon to spawn. And obviously, I'd want new Pokemon to spawn, but I don't want to get so specific on every little block and piece of grass I place for the habitats. But maybe that it's going to be like, all these items fit into a certain category, like a grass habitat category, or a forest, or a desert category, and you, depending on what items you use, like in this area, if most of your items are from this certain category, then these types of Pokemons will spawn. And if that's the case, then it would be really cool, and I would like that idea, but I'm a little worried it's going to be like the other thing I said, where it's going to be super hard to micromanage. Now, I do think that will be the idea I am more positive about, but I am a little worried that might be the idea that I'm a little bit more negative about. Now I gotta mention move teaching, and I talked a lot about this in my last video about this game, but it is just awesome to me. I think it's so cool that your character can copy the abilities of Pokemon. Like if you copy a Scyther, your hands will turn into scythes, or other Pokemon like Squirtle, and you can shoot bubbles out of your mouth. And there's so many Pokemon, like Drillbur, you could copy his abilities and dig underground. All that is just pure awesomeness. And there's some things in life that I find just I consider it just, that's awesome, straight up awesome. And this is definitely one of those things. To me, it's awesome for your character, the protagonist, the character that you play as, to get to experience these things that usually only Pokemon could experience. So it's just straight up awesome. Okay, I have to mention a new feature that we know of that I am very excited for. I now am just, my excitement for the game is doubled just because of this feature. It takes, 3 features to triple it, And I'm very excited for this feature, and that feature is simply being able to completely transform into a Pokemon. Not just use its abilities, but you can turn into one. Sure, it looks a little silly with the mouth and eyes, but it is that Pokemon. And the main Pokemon that they showed off in the trailer were Lapras and Dragonite. If you copy and transform yourself into Dragonite, you will be able to fly around 2 other islands. They briefly mentioned it, but they did say that there are going to be other islands in the game, which is just insane, because from this trailer, we've seen such a large main island that the fact that there could be even more, double, or even just the same of this size is gonna mean this game really is a massive game. I'm not just meaning content, but I mean the world is just literally massive. It's just a large world, and that's just exciting because a bigger world means more stuff to do and a funner time. So yeah, it's gonna be fun that you can literally change into Pokemon. And when they show that you can change into Lapras, changing into a Lapras and going across the water, awesome. Who needs boats when you can become a Lapras? Another great thing about the game is you can build your own town and really shape it into the way you want it. And this game is also very similar to Minecraft in a way, where everything that you can build and break are blocks, and when you build, you place down blocks. So that is kind of copying Minecraft, but Minecraft's great, nothing wrong with copying it. So it's very interesting, and I'm not saying it's wonderful, but it's very interesting. And it does make me a little nervous though, because if I play this game, I'd want to just, get very creative with it and just do whatever I want. But since, I doubt there's going to be a creative mode, I'm worried it's going to be too time-consuming or too cruel to get certain items. If I want to use a very specific block, then what will I have to do to get that? Will I have to mine for hours on end just to get one? Or will it be a lot more simple? I really hope it's the simple option, but if it isn't the simple option, and it will take so much time to just get a little bit of resources to decorate, then that might stray me away from the feature of building a town. But if it is in a way that I would love it, then I'm very excited for the town building aspect. It seems quite fun, especially to build it with Pokemon. Now, I talked about this a ton in my last video of the game. It was one of the main points of my last video, and I've briefly mentioned it in this video. But, this game is going to be very similar to Animal Crossing, except if you combine it with Minecraft and Pokemon. Except I bet it's going to be a little easier and less time-consuming than Animal Crossing is. But, speaking of that, I am worried that actually that is not true, and they're going to go to similar to Animal Crossing and have it become too time-consuming. But, it's just straight up so similar to Animal Crossing in a good way. And I've mentioned this before, but, I really want to play Animal Crossing, but I have a hard time believing that I'm gonna enjoy myself. So this is gonna be a great experience where I can get the experience out of Animal Crossing that one, but I'm almost guaranteed to love it because of my love for Pokemon is so great. Next thing I want to mention are the quests. And just judging by what we've seen from this trailer, they seem a little bit meh. Not, a bad feature, but more meh, just kind of being boring. Go break those blocks over there. Hopefully the quests aren't as lame as the one shown in the trailer. I hope they do, make them a little bit better from what we've seen. But so far, the quests just kind of look boring. And I understand that, they're not going to be a major part of the game. They're going to be important, just not as major as other features of the game. So it shouldn't really be a big deal. But, I'm a little bit worried that they just might be a little too boring. Okay, I have to mention this feature in the game that I am so excited for. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love customization, either with my character or my house, in every video game I've ever played. Customization is just fun, I can express myself, and I do quite enjoy it. And this game's customization, we have seen in this trailer, is going to go hard. They're going to have some crazy customization that you can do, and especially to your house. In the trailer, the only example they show is of like a, futuristic gamer smoke LED light house that I'd love. Like, that right there is an example of a house that I'd probably build. And I am excited to play the game just to build a fun house. I would love to build a house. I'd love to customize my character, and the custom, features you can use on your character are, at least look like they're endless almost. So very exciting for just customization, mainly to your character and house. Hopefully there's more kinds of customization that we will know of when the game fully comes out, but very excited for customization in general. So one of the most interesting parts of the trailer was the ending, and there's a little bit of a story teaser, I'm assuming, where, let me just tell you the things it had. It was a Smeargle painting with like a street lamp in the dark, and then it showed a glowing white Pikachu and surrounded by street lamps in a very foggy area. Then Snorlax covered in moss like he's been there a long time with a flower on his head. What on earth does that mean? It was, at the end, it was, very quick, smaller, so it's clearly a story teaser. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's very interesting to, think about what it could mean. So, for the Smeargle, I really don't know much about the Smeargle. Maybe it has to do with painting. Obviously painting, but, maybe, painting is going to be a large part of the game in some way. Maybe you can get different paintings to attract different Pokemon. I don't really know, just kind of guessing. And then the glowing Pikachu is very interesting, because it's a Pokemon game, so it kind of has to have Pikachu with some importance, and since there's no trainers, you can't really have a major trainer use Pikachu, so I guess this is their way of incorporating Pikachu in the game in an impactful way. So all we know is this Pikachu is going to be white and glowing. Of course, we've never seen a Pikachu like this before, and clearly street lamps or spookiness or something along those lines has to do with the story, because, they were everywhere when we saw the Smeargle and the Pikachu. They were surrounding those Pokemon. So, what does that mean? I really couldn't tell you. I'm trying my best to give you ideas, but, it is a little bit mysterious. But here's the main thing that I want to mention at the end. Like I said, it showed a Snorlax covered in moss. Now, this Snorlax looks like it was in a cave. Well, guess where we start the game? In a cave, coming out of a Pokeball, and we see our trainer, and we turn into our trainer. We don't do a good job, we look a little silly, but, we start the game in the cave. I think the Snorlax has to be important, and it showed the Snorlax opening his eyes in a very specific way, where I think it might be hinting at the Snorlax is waking up from a long slumber, and maybe us coming into the cave, or us falling from the cave, or something we did in the entering the cave at the very start of the game caused the Snorlax to wake up from this long slumber. Now, this is completely guessing. All we saw was a Snorlax covered in moss in a cave, but it has to mean something. And the story to this game is kind of unknown. Of course, we just had the teaser I talked about, but besides that, the story is mainly going to be, just fixing up a world that is abandoned. But there is going to be a more in-depth story, and I'm just very curious and wanting more answers, because that is one of the biggest things I got from this trailer. Basically what this trailer gave me is, it made me want the game so much more. It showed so many features that I'm excited for, but it also left me with a lot of questions involving the story. Now, I understand the little teaser at the end was, of course, trying to give you more questions, trying to let you speculate, but I really wonder, now my brain is going crazy of what the story of this game could be. It has to be interesting, right? So we're getting really close to the end of this video, and if you've watched this far, you probably like my content. So maybe you should consider subscribing. Helps the channel out a ton, and I'd love it. And leave a like while you're there. So, last thing I want to mention, and I am sorry, is a little bit on an unfortunate note, but this game is going to be a game keycard, and it's a first-party Nintendo game. I know, tragic. Nintendo's first-party game is going to be a game keycard. That seems a little dumb, but if you look closely at the physical game case, we do see that the game is only going to be, 10 gigabytes of storage. So, it's not, a big deal, because it is only 10 gigabytes, but what does this mean? I'm worried that Nintendo's going to do this thinking it's not a big deal, but then they do it one time, and then they just keep doing it, kind of on accident. now they think it's justified. And they didn't really mean for this to happen, but now doing this, I'm worried it's going to put them in a bad mindset. So again, I'm very sorry to end this video on an unfortunate note, but this is a Nintendo first-party game that we have on a game key card. It's sad, like, games themselves aren't even really, like, physical games aren't even being really wanted to collect anymore. And I feel like that's just sad, and Nintendo making decisions like these is unfortunate. But like I said, it's only a 10GB game, and if they keep their mind straight and just, like, do this on extremely rare occasions, then I guess it's not a big deal. I mean, if you think about it, though, it's better that we're getting a game key card physical than, a digital, and please don't let the fact that it's a game key card stir you away. I mean, like I said, it seems like an incredible game. Yes, it's a game key card, but, like, it's still an incredible game, and I don't want people to not get the game because it's game key card. It's only 10GB, so sorry to end it on a negative note. Well, I hope you're excited for this game, and this might sound kind of weird, but it's currently my most anticipated game of next year. I know, a little dramatic, but I'm very excited for the game. Cannot wait for it to come out, so peace out, everyone.